What up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today, and I'm back with another video. Now today's video I want to talk about why the Incredible Hulk is an amazing character and why he's my favorite. Now, some people might assume my favorite characters are, Goku or somebody from another anime, but no. The Incredible Hulk is actually my favorite character of all time. I've loved him since a kid and still now as a young adult. He's just an amazing character. He's very appealing, and his backstory is quite emotional, and I do want to get into that a little bit because I do think he's a little bit misunderstood and a little bit underrated and underappreciated. Even though he's quite a mainstream character, he's still not that well known by a lot of people. Usually mainly Hulk fans or Marvel fans or sometimes comic book fans really know more about him. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because my little brother bought me, a vintage Hulk 2009 comic book, which was amazing of him. Thanks to my little brother for that. And I saw this and I was like, you know what? I love the Incredible Hulk, so let me make a video talking about why I love him so much. And he bought me this one because he knows Hulk is my favorite, character of all time. And I want to get into why I think he's amazing. But before I get into that, I do want to say rest in peace to Slick Goku. He died over, I think it was a couple of days ago. It's a sad, tragic story. Personally, I don't know the guy personally. I never really watched his channel. But, it's still a sad situation to see somebody die at his age, a content creator and especially a Dragon Ball YouTuber. So it's very sad. And I just want to say this to, give him a shout out, and I want to send love to him and his family. So yeah, let's get into the discussion of this video. Why is the Incredible Hulk such an amazing character? Now, usually when I tell people, if they ask me who's your favorite superhero or favorite character, and I say Incredible Hulk, their response is usually, oh, it's because he's super strong or he's the strongest one there is. And that's kind of the part, but not the main reason. That's just a little bit of the reason why I love the Hulk, is because of his absurd strength and his showcasing of that strength through his rage. But people always, dumb it down to, oh, he's just a very powerful character and he's strong and that's why. But that's not the reason. The main reason why I love him is basically his backstory, the emotion between him, how intricate and how in-depth his writing is. And I think he's just a cool and, interesting character as a whole. So for you guys to understand and truly appreciate, how amazing the Incredible Hulk is, I have to explain the backstory. Now, a lot of people don't know too much about the Hulk's backstory. They just think he's an angry monster. Some people even think he's like a villain. He's not. He would be more akin to an anti-hero slash hero. Sometimes he can be villainous, but he's rarely, if ever, a villain. He's just really misunderstood. Now, the backstory of the Hulk obviously starts off with Bruce Banner, who turns into the Hulk. Now, Bruce Banner's story is very compelling, and it really touches my heart every time I think about it and, talk about it. Now, if you guys don't know, what the Hulk's backstory is, this video is specifically for you guys. If you guys know, then just sit, and just enjoy the ride of me explaining it. Now, the Incredible Hulk, or Bruce Banner, his backstory is, as a kid, what happened was his father was a gamma scientist, just like him, and he got his wife pregnant, and he, for some reason, thought of his new unborn baby as a monster, because he was working with gamma radiation, and he said he got inside himself, and then when he impregnated his wife, that he transferred that over to her, and that he was afraid that he was gonna create an abomination. He thought he was gonna create like a monster, so it was kind of like a pretext to the Hulk becoming a monster. But he was like, yeah, I just birthed a monster, and he, at that point already, he wanted Bruce dead. He hated Bruce from the jump. He was like, this, me working with the gamma, get into my body and then get into my wife and getting her pregnant with it, I'm gonna be creating a monster. And from right there, he reviewed his son as a monster and an abomination, which is very fucked up. And I think he planned on trying to kill him. If I remember correctly, he wanted to kill him, but he couldn't. And he even further believed he was a monster because his wife almost died in labor because of the complications with the gamma stuff, and because of that, he blamed him even more. Now, as a kid, as he was born, he was actually quite a smart young kid, and he was able to showcase his his intelligence through his building and stuff. And his father already hated him, so any chance he had to shit on his son or have a reason to hate him, he would take it. And this was like a perfect opportunity opportunity to him because he viewed him as a monster, and seeing as him having, an insane high intellect, especially as a young child, he saw that as a threat and as a danger. He's saying he's a monster, but an intellectual monster. That's where his evil is. And because of it, he would beat Bruce every time. You see this iconic panel where he gives him the most monstrous backhand of all time, sending him flying. I know it's fucked up, but it's just too funny not to laugh about that. Come on, like, this guy backhanded a 6-year-old kid and sent that motherfucker flying to another dimension. That shit was crazy, but he would beat the hell out of him just because he was smart. And his mom would defend him, but at one point he just lost it. He was like, man, fuck this, I'm gonna kill him. So he pulled out a knife, tried to stab him. His mom jumped in the way to protect him, ended up getting killed right in front of him. So if it wasn't bad enough that your own father despised you, but he also beat the shit out of you for doing nothing but besides being smart, but then you also had the only person that really cared about you and you cared about being murdered in front of you because she was trying to protect you, he kind of took that as guilt, especially at his age. So that was also very hard for him. And his dad did get arrested, but a lot of people still were assuming that he killed his mom and stuff. So that was also hard on him. And his father was insane, so that's not easy on him. Then he became an orphan, was going through orphanages and shit and foster homes and stuff, and that's also never easy. So he was struggling through that. He was getting bullied in school, getting pushed around because he was the nerdy kid. Then he got into the military, and then he was getting bullied in the military as a grown-ass man by an old man. Like, the fuck? He was getting bullied by General Thunderbolt Ross, and he wanted to use his knowledge and his understanding on gamma radiation to help the world with a natural source of energy and stuff. But Thunderbolt Ross is a general, and he's a general, where they love war and mass destruction and bullshit like that. So obviously he wanted him to create weapons of mass destruction. He didn't like Bruce either. He thought Bruce was kind of a freak, so he was kind of resembling, Bruce's father and David Banner. And he didn't like him. He treated him like shit. So he already got bullied, and now he's getting bullied as an adult, which is... And not only an adult, your boss, like, the fuck, but he's getting bullied by him. He's being put under a lot of pressure. Then he finds Betty, who's Ross's daughter. He starts having relationships with her, but Ross finds out, doesn't like it. Now he's against him. So now he's dealing with her dickhead of a dad, and he's in that situation. Then as the nuclear bomb is going off, you see a kid named Rick Jones who comes into the ditch, and he has to jump in to save him. He pushes him out of the way. He gets hit with the gamma radiation. He survives it due to his, his dad passing over his own gamma radiation, mutated blood onto his son, so he absorbed it. And now he becomes the Incredible Hulk, where he's a monster wreaking havoc. Now you're having Thunderbolt Ross again after him. You're having the military after him. Him running away. Him, having to leave his love, which is Betty. So now he's in a situation where Betty's father not only hates him, but is trying to actively kill him or take him hostage and experiment on him, which is pretty fucked. So now he's a fugitive, and he's missing his love, and she's also the daughter of this guy, so he's in a very bad situation, and he just wants to be left alone. And now he's having this situation with the Hulk where his mental personality had been split, which I also thought was cool, because the other Hulks, they don't have split personalities because they have they're mentally I guess you can say his Jennifer doesn't have that problem. None of them have it. He's the only one that has a split psyche because of the trauma he dealt with. And let's be honest, it's reasonable. If you were getting beaten as a kid for no reason, and then you got your mom killed in front of you who tried to protect you, it would kind of be it'll be a little bit alarming. Also, I think around this time, I forgot to mention, around this time his dad came back pretending to be fixed. He was insane. He was fixed. Then he wasn't. He was lying, and he was talking shit to him. Then he was trying to beat him to death in the graveyard, saying, "You don't belong here next to my wife." And Bruce ends up killing his dad because he's attacking him. He kicks him and kills him. And I guess it's like kind of a situation where he's, kind of relief that he got rid of the monster, but also like, oh my gosh, I just killed somebody and I killed my father. So that was even more trauma on him. Now, like he has like the military after him. He has to deal with Incredible Hulk, trying to get rid of it. Feel like a monster, getting treated as a monster by the media, other superheroes, just like in general. He's hated by the world now. Not just hated, but viewed as a monster. And he doesn't like that. Nobody would really like that. So he deals with that, deals with this guy chasing after him, and he can't even see Betty. And then when he does, it's very briefly. And at one point, he gets fine with the military. He gets like past that, obviously, through the Avengers. He was actually the one that started the Avengers in the original comics. He was chasing down some train that Loki set up, and he was one of the first founding members of the Avengers. So yeah, he's an OG. So he did that, and even when he did get with Betty, at one point her being around him, since he emitted gamma radiation off, he gave her cancer, so she died. So he lost his wife. He got married to her, and she died because of him. So even more trauma. And then I think for a solid, I think maybe 10 years in the comics, she was dead. So she was dead. And there's actually quite an interesting story I have to tell you guys. It's going to be, you guys will be like, oh, damn. But yeah, she died. So now he blames himself, and he has that situation. Even though he found the Avengers, he does have a lot of problems with them. He does fight them countless times. He does become an enemy. He has different situations. So he's, even in good, best situations, it's still pretty shit. And, there was like the interesting story that I wanted to talk about was there was a story where Spider-Man thought he lost Mary Jane. At this time, it was supposed that she was dead, but he thought she lost her, and towards the ending, he found out that she was alive. So in this comic, he's going from like comedic and goofy to more serious, more angry, more aggressive, and the Hulk comes in and he sees somebody strong that now he can unleash on and doesn't have to worry about, and he assumes that I think the Hulk killed his, Mary Jane for whatever reason, or like he's hurting people, and the Hulk is not. He's just trying to move through there, and he's getting attacked. But now Spider-Man's attacking him, and Spider-Man's calling him a murderer and all this other shit. And then Hulk is like, I just want to be left alone, and he's getting bullied by him and stuff. And the thing, Spider-Man's like, you don't understand true pain. You don't understand love. I was married and I lost her. She's dead, and then. Since this was around the time she was dead, he mentioned him because the Hulk does care for the people that Bruce Banner cares for, and the Hulk was heartbroken himself. He's like, I lost my wife too. I understand it, and it was such a sweet moment because, or like a sweet story, because you have Peter saying nobody understands his pain, but the Incredible Hulk, he might seem like a monster, but he was dealing with the same shit. But you would think that someone like Spider-Man, who's more goofy and shit, would have had a better way to deal with it, but Hulk's a raging monster, and he was dealing better with his emotions of loss than Peter was. And he was explaining to Peter that, his wife died too, but Peter didn't care. And then Peter finds out in the ending, Hulk didn't do anything, he was in a bad guy, and that his, Mary Jane's actually alive, but Betty was still dead. So it's kind of like, it was kind of a sad story for the Hulk, because like, my wife is still dead, and Spider-Man was like, oh, I kind of fucked up on that one, didn't I? Like, yeah, asshole. But I also thought that story was pretty interesting because it does send an important message. There might be times throughout your life where you're struggling or dealing with something or a problem, and you're like, my life sucks and nobody understands me. And there might be sometimes some people might want to, talk to you and reconcile with you and be like, hey, look, I understand. And sometimes we can be in our own heads and be like, you don't understand my pain. But like, let's be honest, everybody has some sort of shared pain. And this was definitely the case where, Peter lost somebody he cared about, and he felt like, Bruce or Hulk wouldn't understand it, but Hulk understood it, and Spider-Man was too far gone to see it, that, they had similarities and he could sympathize with them, but he didn't see it that way. And then you find out that Hulk knows exactly what he's talking about, but even more so because his wife was actually dead, and she died basically because of him. Now, that is interesting because there's a lot of times where people like ignore other people and like, oh, you don't understand, but like if you actually listen to the person or find out more about them, you would probably find out that they share the same pain. So never judge somebody and act like your pain is the worst and they don't understand, because there's definitely people out there that understand it or even worse sometimes. And I think this was a good story showcasing that Peter thought he was the only one feeling this, but like other people have felt this too, and even somebody like the Incredible Hulk. Even somebody like the Incredible Hulk. So it's like, so you see that that's sad. And then she does come back, but she comes out as a Red Hulk, and now he didn't want her to come as a Hulk, and she hates him now, obviously because he died because of her. She blames him. Now he feels even more guilt. He also had the whole thing with Joe Fix. I forgot what time that was around, but he became a gangster. He was doing bad stuff here. He was committing crimes here and there. And he's had multiple different psyches. He has obviously a lot of self-hate, and there's an interesting little comic where they dive a little bit into his own self-hate and his pain that he goes through. But what's the thing called? He deals with that. I think she comes back. He fights her. Then at this point, there's some event that happens where he goes crazy and destroys like Las Vegas and stuff like that. And there's this group called the Illuminati, which consists of Mr. Fantastic, Tony Stark, Professor Xavier, Namor, and T'Challa. And I think there's one or two more members. I think Doctor Strange, yeah, Doctor Strange, and maybe one more. They are the Illuminati, and they agreed, not all of them, but most of them agreed that the Incredible Hulk is a threat and they need to get rid of him. So they had a Banner go on a mission in space to fight this creature. He beat the creature. Then they trapped him inside a rocket ship and sent him off flying. And he's like, "What the fuck, man? I just did this for you. What the hell's wrong?" And they stated that he's been too much of a damage, a liability. He's too dangerous. We can't have him on Earth. So now he's been betrayed by. Not only was he sent on this mission and betrayed in that sense, but he was also betrayed by people that he considered friends. He worked with the Avengers. He worked with the Fantastic Four. He worked with Doctor Strange. You know, he's been with the mutants and stuff. So the fact that he got fucked over, it pissed him off. But he was like, you know what? He's on the planet. He can't do anything about it because he's getting sent off. He ends up, on Planet Scar, and then we have the, Planet Hulk storyline, which is amazing. It's an amazing run. You should definitely go check that out and read it. There was a movie about it, and that was the best Marvel animated movie I've ever seen. It was just top notch. And he's now a prisoner of war. He has to do all this fighting, but he liberates the people. He finally finds some happiness. He gets married. He has kids. But then tragedy strikes again, because this is the whole tragedy always strikes this guy. The ship that he came on exploded, set off a nuke, basically killing his wife and supposedly his sons, though they did survive. It killed her, and now he's absolutely enraged. And this created the even better storyline, World War Hulk. Absolutely phenomenal. This guy, Hulk, was like, okay, I've dealt with enough shit, okay? I'm sick and tired of it. I've gotten to my rage point. I kind of got happy. Now you guys are fucking with me again. Fate wants to tempt me. Okay, that I'll see about this. I'm gonna fuck everybody up. Just you wait. And he assumed that the Illuminati set off the bomb to try to kill him, but that wasn't the case. And we find out later on, which is even more fucked up. This situation. I do want to get into the little other story. I want to talk about a little bit more about other things, but. He's now pissed. He's just like, fuck it. I found happiness. I found a new planet. Most of these people got killed. My wife got killed. My kids got killed. He's enraged. And now he blames the Illuminati because he assumes that they set off a bomb in the ship. So now he takes a direct course to Earth to fuck shit up. And trust me, he fucks shit up. He fucks up the X-Men. He fucks up, Juggernaut. And he beats them up so badly that Xavier's like, hey, I wasn't the one who, voted on the committee. I wasn't even there. Man, I was dealing with my own problem. And whatever hatred you have with me and the mutants, just know that we've suffered enough. He showed them the casualties and the deaths. And then Bruce was like, okay, I understand. I don't care. I'm going to be leaving then. So he's like, okay, he didn't do it. And his people already suffered enough. Well, fine, I'm going to leave. Then the Avengers came. He fucked up the Avengers. Tony definitely deserved it. He fucked up, Doctor Strange. He also deserved it. Mr. Fantastic. He beat the shit out of them all. There was an alternative comic book story where Thor came because Thor was doing something else in his world, and Thor kind of understood him. He's like, I kind of understand, but he still beat the shit out of Thor too. Yeah. In the real one, he actually just fought his cousin and he had to beat her up, and he was just so enraged. This was the most angry, most powerful at that time. So he dealt with that. Then, he had to fight the Sentry. He even beat the Sentry, and he was pretty much done at that point. He's like, okay, I'm done. And the Illuminati's like, hey, look, we didn't blow it up. Why would we do that? We just want to get you off the planet. We don't want to fucking like piss you off anymore. Like, you're already pissed off enough all the time, bro. And then he finds out that apparently one of the guys that he considered his blood brother or his warrior brother, whatever. I forgot what his name was. He was like some bug creature. Basically, he was the one who set off and did it. So now he got betrayed by his friend, and he did it because he liked the Hulk being strong, and he didn't want him to get calmed down and have family. And he ends up attacking Rick Jones. I think he nearly kills him, or he kills him, or whatever. And now the Hulk is back. He's like, fuck this. He activates back again, beats the shit out of him, stomps his motherfucker to death. He deserved it. And turns into World Breaker Hulk. This guy just keeps on reaching new and higher levels. It was insane. And at this point, he literally utters a line that is quite interesting. It's sad, but it's also very powerful. He's begging Tony to, because Tony's going to drop a laser on him. Before it wouldn't work, but at this point he's opening himself up because he states to Tony that, hey, look, he states that I'm super pissed right now, and I'm going to end up destroying this world. So if you want to stop me, do it right now. I'm letting you get it opening right now because I can't control my anger. I am unbelievably pissed at this point. And he states, this line was very important to me, and really, it really spoke to me. He stated that, I'm sorry you right now, I have so much hate, but there's nobody I'll hate more in this world. And this is me paraphrasing. He said, "There's nobody I'll hate more in this world than I hate myself." So basically, he's saying is all this rage that I have and all the hatred that people have for me, that means nothing compared to the rage and hatred I have for myself. So you can see the insane amount of self-hate he has for himself, even though a lot of stuff Bruce did, it wasn't his fault or the Hulk. It was like, other circumstances, but he still, he's, the thing about Bruce Banner, since his personality bleeds into the Incredible Hulk, is he feels very guilty. He's a really good dude. He just wants to do the right thing, but he always sees his, he just fucking things up, and he's always depressed about that. So him stating that line that he hates himself, he blames himself for everything, and he's like, I'm the problem and stuff, and at this point, it seems like he's kind of sick and tired of himself. He also just fight Betty again in another story, and that's kind of where it ends off with his thing. But he goes through so much. He goes through so much trauma. People talk about Batman stuff or Spider-Man. Spider-Man does go through a lot, but holy shit! Like the Hulk, he keeps on getting shafted every time. I don't think I've seen anybody screwed over more than him. But the story that I wanted was mentioning was there's a character called Beyonder. He's a very powerful character, and he did this one where he went inside Bruce's mind to see what the hell's going on, and he found out that he had infinite strength. But he said what is more interesting and more powerful than his his infinite strength is his infinite rage. He's like, he is in so much pain. He has so much hatred for himself, so he hates himself a lot, and he's in a ton of pain. And he's saying that is because he's gone through so much. The fact that this guy's gone through so much, hates himself so much, and he's still fighting, that is the impressive thing. Not his infinite strength, it's his mental strength, the fact that he's gone through so much pain, and he keeps on going and keeps on fighting, and the life hits him hard, and then he hates himself, but he keeps on doing it. And I thought that was so motivational. I thought it was such a beautiful thing to hear. So that's what I really like about him, all the story, all the stuff that he went through, and he's still going through stuff. We had L. Ewing's writing of him and the Mortal Hulk storyline, which was amazing. That comic book sold, I think it was the darkest black metal. It was the DC event where they had the killing Batman, or whatever they call him, the laughing Batman, or the killing Joe, whatever fuck they call him. Sorry, the Batman who laughs. Yeah, he surpassed that. At that point, comic books have been doing kind of bad. But the Incredible Hulk comics were killing it. The Immortal Hulk 50 issue run, I read it all. It was fucking amazing. But yeah, it was dominating the comic book industry, and he surpassed Batman. That's how great the Hulk is. And then we had the Starship Hulk storyline, which was also great. We had the War on Pac, basically showcasing the Maestro Hulk, the future Hulk. We had like him building up, starting his empire, and then him going throughout his empire. And I think they're gonna make a third part of that story. But yeah, they've had some really, really good, stories and stuff. Even lately, like I said, the Immortal Hulk, the Starship Hulk, the War on Pax, all the other Maestro stuff that they had. And then they're going to another story, but I just like the way they go and they keep on reinventing him, but in a creative way, and it's not like stupid or lazy. Then we have the Devil Hulk, who is he's basically the protector of Bruce that he imagined that this is what a protector would look like, because he viewed his father as a monster, and then as the Incredible Hulk, he views himself as a monster, just like his father. And the Devil Hulk is his protector, and basically what he wished his father was, where he would protect him, and that was basically his coping mechanism. But now it's a monster that wants to help him out, but also wants to destroy everything else because of his rage. So you have all that. So there's some really great story runs from him, and I just like seeing his character. I want to see his connection with other characters, like the Punisher, because Punisher's all about vengeance. I want to see what the Punisher thinks about him, what the X-Men fully think about the Hulk, other characters, because he definitely has a lot of stuff. I want to see him and Moon Knight interact, because they have multiple personalities. Moon Knight's is a little different. He sometimes can't tell when it switches. The Hulk, he can tell, like Bruce Banner, but it's only when he transforms into the Hulk. And I do think it's cool that he has multiple personality disorder, and he deals with mental health and the struggle. And his one comes from authentic pain. It's genuine pain where he's come from. So that's why I love him. It's not he's the strongest. Yes, he's strong, but the reason he's strong is because of what he's gone through and how he keeps on fighting, and he still tries to do the right thing. That's where his real strength lies, and that's what I love about him is just how good of a character he is, and just how morally strong he is. He's just just a strong character. So I really appreciate him. If any of you guys don't know much about the Hulk, definitely do more research on him. He's just an amazing character. He's a wonderful character. That's one of the reasons why I started to hate the MCU. I like the MCU, but they kind of screwed over the Hulk. They did good with him in the first Avengers. Did pretty decent with him in the second one, but then they didn't do much with him. And Infinity War, they kind of made him a little bitch running away from Thanos. And I was like, okay, it's fine. They could probably do something with him in Infinity War. They didn't do shit. All he did was snap to bring people back. Like, really? Any fucker could have done that. And on top of it, it's he got hurt and was like, really? He can regenerate. He has one of the best regenerations. He has better regeneration than even Wolverine. This guy's immortal. And this asshole now has his arm burned and he can't regenerate it. In the fucking She-Hulk show, he had to take her DNA to fix himself up. Like, really? It's just stupid, and they made him like a joke. But yeah. He has so much emotional depth, and I think out of all the characters, he has the saddest backstory for me personally. Also, one thing I really like about him is people love Naruto and his whole dealing with the demon and monster is very sad stuff. But I think the Hulk was the first to do it. Not, I wouldn't say the first in all of fiction, because we had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of scenarios and stuff. But I think he was the first in superhero media, and there's definitely other characters that does the same story now, and anime does it quite a bit. But Naruto definitely did a lot with the Nine Tails beast inside Naruto, and that's one of the reasons why I like Naruto so much and cared about the characters, because I felt so much sympathy for their situation. But then I think about it, I'm like, the Incredible Hulk actually started that, and unlike in Naruto, they kept it for still now, and it's still fresh, and they did it such in a great way. So he's basically the original, I have a monster inside me, people don't understand me, people hate me, and I hate myself, I'm depressed because of what I'm treated as, but I also have this rage that I can't control. I also think that's cool. Also, sometimes I have anger problems myself, not to the extent where I hit people. It's just usually I'm yelling at people or being an asshole sometimes. I try not to be too much of it, but I'm not making any promises. But I have anger problems, so seeing somebody else who has anger problems, and I feel connected to him, and I think it's very important, because there's definitely a lot of people in this world that have been abused by parents and stuff. And I know this is a serious thing, but his backstory is quite serious. That have been abused, and I feel like they can have connections to the Hulk because when you're abused, one, you have a lot of self-hate, you can be very depressed, and you can have a lot of rage. So you need something to, feed that anger towards. And I'm pretty sure, if you read the Incredible Hulk comic or just see the Incredible Hulk, they can have a connection to him. Like, wow, he's a superpowered character that does the right thing, tries to do the best. He gets angry, he has anger problems, and he's been abused. I kind of have a connection to him. So people who've been abused can connect to him. People who have anger problems can connect to him. And people who have lost a loved one or seen somebody die or had a family member killed by their own family member, which is a lot more common than we think it is, they can connect to the Incredible Hulk. He's just a very cool character. I think he's definitely a character that kids that have gone through abuse and their abusive homes can look at and, have something to aspire to and be like, have a beautiful message from it. So I think that's really cool. Like I said, Naruto did it, but I think the Incredible Hulk does it better, and he was basically the original. And that's one of the reasons I really fell in love with his character is, I like the sympathetic characters that, are misunderstood, that treat like shit, but it's like they're actually just genuinely good people trying their best, but they're struggling and they have their pains and stuff. It's really sad seeing his stuff because like the Hulk gets treated like a monster, but he's not a monster. He's a really good guy, and like even the Hulk, even at his angry sides, he's still protective. He's still caring. He's a gentle creature, and as long as people leave him alone, he's pretty cool. But it's like most times people are assholes to him, and it's kind of like a representation of real life. There's people that might not be the same, like might be different, might have some problems, but people bully them, and then they might come off like doing things the wrong way because they follow through their anger, but it's like you can't blame them that much. The people that are pushing them, they're the problem. And it's funny because when the Joker film came out, people had so much sympathy for him going through that, but it's like the Hulk was a character that already had that. If MCU already implemented his shit and did him right, because I want to see a live action Incredible Hulk done right. I think it will not only make people cheer for him, love him even more as a character, but also I think it'll make people cry for him and have sympathy. Because if you're in the movie theater, you're seeing him like getting beat up and all this shit, you're gonna be like, damn, that's sad as hell. So he is definitely the saddest backstory. Somebody stated that there was one comic book issue where and I don't know where it is, but he stated, and I asked for like a reference of it, but he didn't show it, where he stated that there was one where the Avengers got into Hulk's mind and saw all the shit he went through. Like, damn, the fact that he went through all this and is still here and able to control himself. Like, how does he do it? He's so strong. And then Tony Stark said he's the strongest one there is, and he wasn't saying it physically. He was saying mentally he's the strongest one there is. He went through all this mental trauma and still able to go through it. But I love that about him. Definitely big shout out to Stan Lee for creating this character. Stan Lee, this is one of his best characters. He did great with him. I love what he did with him, and also that's another reason why I love the Hulk, because it reminds me of Stan Lee, and I just love Stan Lee. He's a cool dude. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's all I wanted to say about this. Once again, big thank you to my little brother for getting me the comic. That's pretty amazing of him. To do that for me, it means a lot. I absolutely love the Incredible Hulk, and that's just the reasons why I like him. And if you guys are like, I know a lot of guys are Dragon Ball fans or anime fans, and a lot of you guys don't read comics and might not like comics, but trust me, the Incredible Hulk is definitely a character you should check out. You should read his comics because he is very, if you got, felt emotional watching Naruto, you're going to definitely feel emotional reading, the Incredible Hulk stories, all the Hulk stories. And even there's countless other Hulks, none of them can match up to Bruce Banner's Hulk because he has so much more depth. And I think he's the most sympathetic, superhero in both Marvel and DC. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.